Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, moremule wanji, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so delighted and so very honored that you're joining us in our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to tell all of your family and friends about the show, and please be sure to subscribe to the show in the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher Radio, wherever you get your podcasts. Our guest today is Sarah Belisa Tucker. She's returning to the show to celebrate her new book. It's called Help Ringo, Tame His Temper. Before we connect with Sarah, who is currently anchored off the coast of Crooked Island in the Bahamas on her beautiful catamaran, we want to invite you to connect with us on social media, facebook.com/readingwithyourkids, at Reading With Your Kids on Instagram. Please be sure to check out our Reading With Your Kids page on Pinterest. If you're on Twitter, please connect with us at Jedley Magic. And, of course, we would love for you to visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com. When you go there, you can use the contact button up at the top of the page. Send us a message. Let us know what we're doing well. Let us know what we're not doing very well at all. And let us know who you would like to hear on a future episode of the podcast. And if you're an author, please be sure to check the Authors Click Here button to find out how you can be a guest here on the podcast. And if you are a parent looking for a really fun activity to do with your kids, be sure to check and click on the Drawing with Your Kids link at the top of that page. Joining us right now from right off of Crooked Island in the Bahamas. She is speaking to us from her beautiful catamaran. We're here to celebrate a brand new book in the Adventures of Harry and Friends series. It's called Help Ringo Tame His Temper. Please welcome back to the show our friend, Sarah Belisa Tucker. Hey, Sarah, how are you?
I am fabulous. I am so excited to be here from the middle of the ocean.
That, it is. We've had authors on from all over the world. You are the only author who's been with us from the ocean.
Well, thank goodness I have Starlink, which has allowed me to be able to communicate with everybody around the world and doing author visits and visits with podcast people like you, which is amazing. And we're able to talk to everybody without having a glitch.
You know, it really is. I mean, think about that. And I know young people are like, yeah, of course, it's the internet. What's the big deal? But it wasn't that long ago that the idea that not only could you be speaking to somebody from the middle of the ocean without over and all that kind of nonsense, but we were able to communicate with people all over the world and send messages instantly and send pictures and whatnot. It truly is an amazing time that we're living in.
Yes, sir, it is. It's really opened up the world of technology. It's opened up more ideas for kids to inspire them. I'm actually very curious in the next 50 years, who else is going to top Elon Musk?
It is true. It's really exciting. And I know that one of the people who are, that may be listening to us might be the person who creates some innovation that helps solve global warming and climate change and all of the stuff that we're panicked about today.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. And I am very excited to be part of helping that change as well and inspiring those kids to become better people and be able to be more critical thinkers and to really dive into themselves to explore who they are to help others as well.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because the Adventures of Harry and Friends, it's a great book series. Ringo is book number 8. Am I right about that?
He is. The last book for Ringo was I Quit, because he has a bit of a temper and he gives up when things don't go his way. And now Ringo is back in an all new series within the Adventures of Harry and Friends, an interactive series where the kids are going to be able to help Harry and his friends like Ringo make the right choice or not make the right choice and see what the consequences are or see how they succeeded and also help themselves.
Yeah. And that's really important. So let's talk about Help Ringo Tame His Temper. It's a great book, but it's different than the other books, as you were saying. It's really interactive.
Yes. It's going to be able to, the kids are going to be able to dive in and actually really see what Ringo is, who he is, what makes him tick, the people in his life, his different personality types, his temper types, what type of tempers he has. From frustrations to sadness to just completely anger or furious. And some of the kids might be able to recognize themselves in Ringo as well. But by doing that, they're learning to help themselves by helping Ringo. And as they go through the book, they're going to see different moments in Ringo's day. We've got different moments on the playground at school, or a playground just in general, or a classroom setting, or even at home where different things happen and Ringo has to react. And by the kids having the choice, how is Ringo going to react to these different situations? It's going to help them understand how they can react in different situations. They can pause for a moment and go, oh, if I act this way, this might happen. But if I choose this path, this might happen. So we want the kids to start thinking about that and stop and think about their reaction before they just lose their minds and lose their tempers and don't understand why they're in trouble in the end of the day.
Yeah. And I think that's really important. And I think it's an important lesson that we can teach our kids, is that they can make the choice to think instead of just reacting to certain situations.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And that's what's so important about all of the Harry and Friends series, is that it is teaching children and even parents and teachers and guidance counselors that it helps them really dive into the material in an entertaining way without having to talk at them, to understand the critical thinking, the different mindsets, to grow at the same time as a person.
Now, some people might be surprised to learn that the Adventures of Harry and Friends and Help Ringo Tame His Temper all were kind of born in a martial arts studio in a way.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Many, many years ago.
Yeah. And I think they'd be surprised about that, because I think folks who aren't familiar with martial arts, you know, they might tune in or catch a glimpse of an MMA contest as they're flipping through channels, and you see these warriors, both men and women, just competing ferociously. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they might be thinking, how in the world can somebody from that world teach my kid how to control his temper? I mean, they're like just going at each other with such ferocity, and it seems like they're nothing but angry inside that ring or inside that cage. How can they teach my kid how to control themselves?
But they're not angry. Mm-hmm. The good fighters, the challengers, the warriors, like as you want to call them, they train night and day. They eat healthy. It's all a mental mindset. They're controlling themselves. If they lose their temper in a fight situation, it's over. You have no control after that, because you'll see a different fight. You have the professional fights, and then you have these street fights. Mm-hmm. And when you see these street fights, they're all over the place. They're losing their tempers. They're going crazy, and people are actually getting hurt. Mm-hmm. And then you have these professional fights that they put on. These people are chess players. Mm-hmm. They're thinking so many strategies ahead on different things. And of course, in these professional fights, they're always allowed to tap out, say, hey, I've had enough. This is it. I'm done. You're the better person today. So, but when they're going back and they're training, even as children, and they're training in the martial arts industry, it is not about those fights. It's about self-discipline and focus and self-control. It is about training your heart, your mind, and your soul, and to become better people. versus that.
Yeah.
So we focus, and I focus on the life skill sets that the martial arts teaches the kids. Not going out, it's like, oh, I'm going to be an MMA fighter. No. I'm all about critical thinking, chess playing. I want the kids to go, oh, this might be hard, but I'm not going to give up, because I didn't give up to earn my black belt, or from my white belt to black belt. It takes many, many years. And you see these kids, there's so many kids who do give up, but then the kids who don't give up, those are the ones who succeed in life.
Yeah.
And so as you're training in martial arts, you will see that the kids will start here. They're just learning to swim. They're walking. And then all of a sudden, they're diving off the high board because they've gone all these little steps to build up their confidence. And being able to do that, they're able to open up to different experiences in life. They may become scientists. They may become doctors. They may become teachers. They may become martial arts instructors. But it allows them to grow. So, but in any sports, it's not just martial arts. It can be basketball. It could be football. It can be bowling. In any sports, teaches those life skills as well if it's done correctly and you've got a great coach.
Yeah. And I think that that's one of the things I love about your series. And I also want to just mention to parents, you're talking in martial arts that it's a lifestyle. It's a way of life. It's the choices you're making in terms of diet, of sleep, of training, of exercise, of being respectful of yourself, being respectful of others. And it's true that the people who are successful in other sports or in dance are also making those same kind of holistic, I don't know if that's the right word, but those choices. If I want to be the best ballet dancer I can be, I need to make sure that I'm fueling my body with the right stuff and that I'm making good choices and I'm not taking risks that are going to endanger my legs and whatnot. But so that's what I really like about the Adventure of Harry and Friends series is it's not just a book about bullying. It's not just a book about controlling your temper. It's about all those life and character education messages we want our kids to embrace.
Yes. And I'm thrilled. I mean, we've just started releasing these books just less than 2 years ago. And we now have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 books out. And now we have this new series coming out. And I just finished writing the next book in the series, the smaller series of The Adventures of Harry and Friends, and that one is about teamwork, and it has some STEM in there, so the teachers are going to love it because there's some science projects they can do with their classes.
That's amazing. It's really exciting. Sarah and I were together at a homeschool convention in Florida last spring, and I was just amazed seeing how excited the kids were at Sarah's booth. They loved the colors that are featured in the book. They loved the character of Harry, and they loved meeting Sarah.
Oh, I love those kids. They are just so energetic and full of life, and they inspire me. And I love hearing their stories. I love hearing their stories, how Harry and his friends helped them, or how they overcame something because they read one of my books. And I'm just like, oh, and that just makes me want to do more. I mean, I know we're on a podcast, so people can't see the books, but I have children's books about honesty and making the right choices, and books about perseverance and not giving up when things get hard. We have stories about overcoming fear and what fear really is. We have books about being responsible. I mean, how many kids drop their stuff on the floor and then they upset that it's broken? Well, we have a book to help you with that. And that helps them, but it reminds them we're not preaching at the kids. We're entertaining the kids through these stories for them to make the right choices in the end.
Yeah. And now we just touched on it earlier that, that the Adventures of Harry and Friends were born in a martial arts studio. Talk a little bit more about that. Talk a little bit, please, about that first series that you wrote that is actually being used in martial arts studios around the world.
Oh, yes. Well, when I first met my husband, he had his martial arts school, and it was around Christmas time, and he asked me if I could entertain the kids while he was doing something in the office to get stuff ready for the next class. And I'm still going, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I'm 19 years old. I did television for Fox Kids Club Network, so I'll be a cartoon character. Oh, wait, I wrote a story called Harry and Friends back in the day when I was a teenager. And I was like, so I started telling them that story. And then from there, it grew into a flip chart with life lessons. So I'm drawing Harry and all the characters. And a lot of the characters are based off of all of those students that I worked with since I was 19 to now. And what's happened throughout the years is we developed a character development program with animations and mat chats or morning meetings, what teachers would say, or even homeschool parents would use on teaching these life lessons. So every week there's a new life lesson around a different theme. And yeah, we have martial arts schools in Australia and England, Canada, all over the United States using my program to help kids understand what grit is, perseverance, indomitable spirits, focusing, leaderships. And it's amazing. We've been around doing that since we released that program in 2006. Mm-hmm. And now, after COVID hit, that sort of hurt the martial arts industry, hurt all the industries. Mm-hmm. But I was like, you know what? My mission isn't over. I'm not going to just close up the book and say I'm done. I have more to give. And that's where the children's book series grew from. And so we were able to take those lessons that I've been using with the martial arts industries and private schools to develop them so the parents can have them at home as well.
Yeah. Why do you think, like a lot of the lessons that you're teaching in The Adventures of Harry and Friends, some people might sit back and say, duh, yeah, of course, you pick up your toys, you are respectful to others, you get that grit and go out there and give new things a try. But it's not common knowledge anymore, and it's not something that kids seem to be hearing all that much anymore, as much as you and I might have heard when we were young. Why do you think that is?
It's not taught. It's not taught like it used to be. With everybody the world has gotten so much faster. People aren't slowing down to have a meal with their children like they should be. So if you hear this, parents, please slow down at least twice a week. Sit down with the entire family and eat a meal. It could be from McDonald's. It could be fast food. Just sit down and eat a meal with them and find out what's going on. Mm-hmm. But people aren't teaching their kids these skills because they don't have the time. They want the time. They desperately want it. That's the reason they put them in programs like martial arts or dance or gymnastics, because they are looking for this. But it's difficult to teach it, especially when you're a single parent or you're a grandparent and you're already exhausted from, life has already happened for you. So I think people are searching for this information in different aspects, from character programs to children's books. There are all kinds of children's books out there that are similar to mine, but a little bit different. But I like it when people explore different characters and different things, because the more repetitive these kids get this information from, they start going, oh, well, maybe it's the truth. Maybe I should be a little more honest. Maybe I should not tell a lie. Maybe I should not give up, because they're seeing it from different points of views in different part of their lives. So if they have a coach in the martial arts industry, or they have a gymnastic coach or a dance instructor, and they're all saying, don't give up. You can do this. It's hard, but you can do this. Don't give up. Push through. They're going to start believing that. And so will the parents and the grandparents behind them. And then I see it coming back where people are wanting to instill these ethics and morals into their kids, because the world has gone a little crazy.
It has. And the Adventure of Harry and Friends, they're great books, and kids would love to sit down and read them on their own. But I'm guessing that you would recommend that this is a series that is really ideally experienced together with parents and kids.
Yes. And there's a whole bunch of activities. I want the parents to be able to sit down with the kids and open a dialogue with them and ask at any moment. I do extend the vocabulary, so there might be some words that they might go, I don't know what this is, but that's okay, because they're there to help them or teach them how to look up in a dictionary. What does this word mean? Or how does this make you feel? And actually get to know what is going on in the kid's life at that moment with those types of books. So, and there's different activities and teacher's guides and parents' guides that I also have with each book to help with the message, to help the kids understand what's going on.
Yeah. Now, I can't resist. You're on this. I was talking about being on my epic cross-continent drive back in the fall, and that was a really wonderful time. But you are in this epic ocean adventure. You're going to the Bahamas, you're going to the Dominican Republic, and just talk a little bit about this adventure that you're on, please.
Oh, well, it started about 4 years ago. We worked very, 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 very hard, 7 days a week, and saved all our pennies and found the right vessel, which is Fahala, to take us on this great adventure. And then we were able to hire the best of our black belt students to manage our martial arts school, which allowed us to have some freedom. And we left in April of this past year for the Bahamas from Florida. And so we started at the tip of Florida at No Name Harbor and then sailed all the way back up to the west end, up to the tip of the Bahamas. And then we slowly made our way down the Abacos. And I did some author visits at some of the schools that were just reopening from being destroyed by that Category 5 hurricane. Mm-hmm. So I went in and I donated books. I spent time with the kids. They didn't want me to leave. They're like, please stay. And I was like, oh, I want to. I'll be back one day. And then we've just been gradually making our way down each island and visiting different places and just experiencing life and just slowing down. Mm-hmm. I found that myself, people keep going, why don't you write a book on patience? And I was like, because I don't have any. But being here, it actually has taught me patience, because you have to wait for the wind. You have to wait for the weather. If it's bad outside, you don't go out. If you can't travel, you can't move on. So you're learning patience with that. So I'll be able to write a patience book very, very soon. But sometimes I don't even know what day it is. I actually set an alarm on my phone. So I was like, oh yeah, I have a meeting today. Because it sort of blurs together. I know the days by the sun rises and the sun sets, and where we're going because of the wind. And that is just about what's been going on. And I think we've sailed, just under 800 miles, mm-hmm. which is a lot for sailing. I mean, I know with a car, people go, oh, that's 800 miles. But see, when you're sailing, it takes, for every 5 miles, it's an hour. Mm. And that's us going fast. Wow. So you gotta slow down and just take it all in. We raise the sails up, we turn the engines off, we throw a couple fishing lines in and pray we get a fish. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But it's all about, just living in the moment.
Well, that's wonderful. You're obviously living a dream, and it's a dream that you're able to live because you put in, you and your husband put in so much work, not only with the martial arts studios, but with the character education program for the martial arts schools, and of course the Adventures of Harry and Friends. If there's somebody out there that has a dream and it doesn't seem, they can't see a way to make that dream come true, what advice would you give them?
That their dreams can come true. It's all about making small goals and accomplishing those small goals to the bigger goal. So life gets in the way all the time. It does. And there's nothing you can do about that. All you have to do is make tiny little goals and tiny little adjustments around what life sort of throws into the path of your dream. And just say, nope, this is not going to stop me. This boulder just ran over my car, but it's not going to stop me because I know what I want to do and I want to accomplish that. So it really comes down to that. There's a very small percentage of people who actually do accomplish their dreams because life gets in the way. Things get hard. They get distracted. But I say you can do it.
Yeah.
And dreams change. So as you're moving along on these dreams, this dream that you're like, oh, I want to do this. But as you get older, that dream may change to a different dream. And that's okay. Mm-hmm. Just reset and make those small goals and adjust your life for that. Yeah. And you can accomplish them.
Yeah. Well, I know people are going to want to know where they can go to find out more about you and find out more about Help Ringo Tame His Temper in the entire Adventures of Harry and Friends series.
Yes, they can visit my website at adventuresofharryandfriends.com. I'm also on Instagram at Sarah Belisa Tucker, and I'm on Facebook at author Sarah Belisa Tucker as well. But I have a whole bunch of things that people can download activities and some different things and check out the book trailers all on my website as well.
We've had a great time speaking to our friend, the author of Help Ringo Tame His Temper, as she is taming the oceans around the Bahamas. Our guest has been Sarah Belisa Tucker. Sarah, thanks so much for taking time to be with us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on the show again. So exciting.
Please be sure to join us for next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Alicia Londos. She'll be here to celebrate the mermaid who found her home. That's the next episode of the podcast. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, I want to start by thanking our guest, Sarah Belisa Tucker. Please be sure to check out Help Ringo Tame His Temper and all of her great Adventures of Harry and Friends books. Also want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Rory Grady, Jordan Saley, Stephanie Davila, Will Cheever, Cassandra Masonet, Sabrina Wu. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, and as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.